All right, welcome back, everybody. Like I promised, I have Jay Hartley here, and Jay is another one of those diamonds in the rough. A lot of people don't know you, Jay, but I know you. I've been because you're in the Dallas area, and I was the RVP, and I saw what an incredible property management firm that you own, that you ran, and that were a minority shareholder. Had lots of units. We're going to talk about that. And if I remember, didn't you also have a maintenance division? You had your own maintenance
So
division.
I've run two companies in the 20 years, 22 years now that I've been at it. The first one, we had a maintenance division, ran that, did that operation. The second company that I partnered on, we did third party maintenance. So we didn't have, you know, whether it be good or bad, right? Decided to go a different route on the second
So let's talk about the last firm you had.
one. Okay.
You recently sold a couple years ago, and now you started a new firm, Surge Property Management, which I want to talk about as well.
Sure.
Talk to me about why you sold, why you didn't buy your partner out, because you and I have very similar stories, and I'll be more than happy to kind of reshare my story. But let's
Sure.
kind of hear that story about how long you guys in business for, and then what prompted the whole idea of selling.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so I left the first operation 6 years ago, and then came over to this new opportunity. And it was a great shop, was running pretty well. There was an opportunity for me to become part owner of it. I would be a minority owner, so partnered with a guy named Steve, and
Sounds familiar. That was my partner's name.
yeah. Different Steve though. So we partnered up. The whole plan was to build it as big as we could. Along the way of building business, doing the right things, taking good care of our clients. He had several other real estate companies that he owned, and a lot of those were, we called them the family of companies, right? There was a real estate brokerage, there was a commercial brokerage, that kind of stuff. So they all kind
Okay.
of fed each other, whether it be a current client deciding to move from single family to multifamily or into commercial or all of that kind of stuff. So
And if I
anyway,
recall,
yeah,
you guys were over 1,000 units, right?
we were, yeah, 1,000 residential units. It was a mix. We had about, I want to say 350, 360 small boutique multifamily, and then the rest were all single family, single dues, tries, quads.
And would
But
yeah.
we did have a small component of boutique multifamily, 70 units or less kind of scenario.
So total unit count was around, was it 1,200,
It was
1,300?
right under 1,100.
Right under 1,100. And
Yep.
you guys were just in the Dallas Metroplex area. Is that
We
correct?
were, yeah,
Yeah, you
just
didn't.
DFW.
So I guess the first question I'll ask is, while you guys were building, what was the original vision? And was that kind of the reason of the downfall, or of this? I call it the downfall. It's not really a downfall.
Yeah,
I'm sure you made
no,
money selling it.
Steve had really um, had really well. He had been in business for 20 years. So when I came in, it was right at 20 years. Excuse me, and he didn't really want to run the operation. It wasn't his forte. He's big into the commercial space. So he needed somebody to really take over the operation and build it from there. So the plan was that we were just going to continue to grow, uh, foster relationships with our clients, and then take that opportunity, provide great customer service, and build it from there. So kind of organic growth in conjunction with us still continuing to look for other opportunities to buy small portfolios or other companies. We did that a couple of times. Local operations, always staying in the DFW Metroplex. So
Okay.
the plan was to build that from there. And Steve was, kind of the behind the scenes. He was the broker of record, even though I'm a broker. It was his business, so he was a broker of record and the majority owner. So roughly 5 years.
Did you buy in right from the beginning, or did you buy in over time when you partnered with Steve?
So a little, I guess we can get into this. So Steve and I had a great relationship. We knew each other really well. There was an opportunity for ownership, but he was going to give me the ownership. So there was a vesting period. So rather than
Yep.
coming in with cash,
Mhm.
um,
Sweat equity.
Yeah, sweat equity. So it took me 5 years to build up the sweat equity. At the end of that 5 years, which was just a year ago now, uh, there was the vesting period had ended. So we had vested, but Steve also decided that he wanted to potentially look at exiting. So you had mentioned, hey, why didn't you buy it? I really wanted to. I was excited about Steve's exit, and that company was potentially going to become mine, and I was going to have the ability to run it my way without anybody's oversight and everything else. Whether that be good or bad, we'll never know. So there was that opportunity. So I had a value in mind. Then we went out and had it evaluated independently, and then we went to broker owner and met with a few of the companies, some of the big boys that were interested in buying. And so they all did their due diligence. There was roughly about five in total. They all did their due diligence, and then the offers started to come in. The determination that I had made of what I felt it was worth
Yep.
and what they determined what they were willing to pay for it, there was a significant delta. So it was going to make it really difficult for me to acquire from Steve with that new pricing.
Yeah,
So we
it was gonna be
ultimately
huge.
decided to
It was
sell.
gonna be a huge there's gonna be basically a huge deficit on you, right?
Yeah,
Like, you're gonna have to borrow a lot of money. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
got it. So just curious, when you guys sold, did the vesting period didn't accelerate? Like I would have thought the vesting period would have accelerated. He would have got you all paid out
It,
like
it
during this.
did. So
Oh, it
we
did.
didn't.
Okay.
We sold right as my vesting period was at 100%.
Got
So
it. Okay.
yeah,
So I made
yeah,
it easy.
yeah.
All right.
And then the
So,
purchaser offered me an opportunity to stay on, said, hey, we'd love you to continue doing what you're doing, stay on, run the operation. So they made it pretty attractive. So I agreed to do that.
yeah, that's
Steve
great for a
wasn't going to
short.
buy
That's
the
great for
last
short
company.
short term, but short time. But I
Mhm.
think you started getting you started getting the itch or started feeling like, hey, I should have been an owner. I could be an owner. I could be my own boss, so to speak. And
Well,
so
and
that's where Surge came in, right? Surge came
yep,
into play.
yep, exactly. Well, you, when you run it for somebody else, you're building their dream, right? And you want the opportunity to build your own dream. So
Mhm.
my dream has always been to be an owner operator. And I want to have the ability to provide all those key components to good service that I know that we need. Not everybody shares in that vision, and I don't fault them for that if it's their operation. But if it's my operation, I know my KPIs and I know my um, bullet points are going to be, at the forefront. So good customer service, taking great care of clients, educating the clients to make sure they know exactly what needs to be done, how to increase their ROI, helping other property managers grow their business. So education is going to be a huge piece and has been a huge piece of Surge.
So you go from a PM firm with a disparate portfolio, some boutique multifamily, some single family,
Mhm.
um, 1,100 units. Then you go to a bigger company, right, where it's like, I don't know, 15,000, 20,000 units. And now you go to Surge, where did you start with 0 units? Like what, like tell me about
So
that.
I have 30 that I've started with.
Okay.
So I'm in the process of negotiating a purchase of a portfolio, and then I'm also talking with a couple of operators that are here local that may be looking at a merger. Not 100% sure. I don't want to shoot anything down, but first and foremost, it's going to be developing Surge, and I don't have to be the biggest. One of the things it's taught me over the 20 years that I've been doing this is, yes, I could manage thousands of units at one time and have huge staff and everything else. But when you get those economies of scale, yes, you make more profit, but the service goes down. It never fails. Every time the customer service goes down. And one of the big things, one of my big passions is helping clients, helping customers, helping employees with a lot of that education piece that I love to bring to the forefront. So I love helping them. When you get so big, you can't do that. And I've gone from, 30 employees and having big offices and everything else, to realize that that's not as important. And there is so many opportunities now to continue to provide that good customer service, still build a good portfolio, right? I want to get around 200, 300 doors. Um, but I'm going to do it a heck of a lot different this time, making sure that the true local talent that I have to have is the right people on the bus. And then the rest of it, I'm going to use tech. I'm going to be heavy in tech. And then also remote team members or VAs are going to be a big piece of that, because they can spend the time catering to the clients and taking care of every need and being available when I need them, and they're much more cost effective. So luckily, I know a guy in that space, so I'm going to be hitting him up.
There is so much to unpack. I've tried to take notes as you were speaking. So first thing I have to ask you is, what are the core values of Surge?
Education is going to be the biggest one. We've kind of already touched on that. Don't
Education. Yeah.
Yeah, education for clients, but then also for the key members of our team. So I want to help build up property managers. I don't necessarily need them to be well seasoned, but they've got to have a little bit of experience to come on board. And the model that I've set up is going to be very attractive for the team members to benefit in the company. So we can kind of touch on that in a minute. But so the key metrics are going to be education and great customer service. So those are the two main components that
Got
I'm
it.
focusing
So
on.
one of our core values of VPM is provide customers with a wow experience, right?
That's great. I love
And
that.
so I actually had somebody say wow the other day to me, and I'm like, fuck, yeah. Oh, excuse me, Gail. Sorry about that. I said, yeah, I got somebody say wow experience. You can steal that
I'm
one.
taking notes too, so I'm not going to steal that verbatim, but yeah, I love that.
Um, Now you talked about that maybe you're looking at purchasing some folks, a couple of small firms. How do you go about just real high level? How are you going about evaluating it? Like, because are you doing like a per management contract? Are you doing a per revenue? Like, what are you
Well,
what's your secret sauce?
first thing, I mean, nobody ever advertises their companies for sale, right? So you never know. You don't want to scare your tenants. You don't want to scare your clients. So you never really advertise that your company's for sale. So you got to put the word out that you're interested, and then they start calling. So, here a couple of weeks ago, I put the word out that I was interested in acquiring portfolios or other companies, and had several calls. Several people were curious, and go from there. So there's a couple of different ways to do it. You can do based off the revenue that it generates on management fees. And then you can do a 1x, 1.5x, 2x, something along those lines, depending on what they want. One of the things I've learned over the years of acquiring companies and portfolios is it's really difficult to buy the company itself, or I should say, not difficult. There's a lot of liability in buying the company
Yeah, you
because
want to
you
buy
get
the
all their
contracts, right?
assets.
Yep.
Yep, and you get their liabilities.
Got
So
it.
when you're buying contracts, you don't get the liabilities that go along with that. So
Yeah, that's a story for another day. Actually, I sold the contracts and then I got sued a year and a half later, right under the 2 year kind of deal. No insurance. That's a whole story for another day. So, okay, so you're looking at purchasing potentially on whatever makes sense.
yeah.
Are you gonna use cash or do you have financing? Do you have like line of credit? Like how do you or do you do owner
So
financing?
couple of different opportunities there, depending on the size, right? Cash would be lovely because then I don't have any debt. But I mean, how do you justify the outlay of all that cash, putting it to work? How long is it going to take you to recoup that? So I love leverage, big proponent and big educator on leverage, using leverage, other people's money, OPM. The other opportunity is I've got a couple of investors that have really hit me up wanting to go big or go fast, go big and go fast. So they've offered some creative solutions, some money to be able to do that. So if I come up with the right opportunity, it's just trying to figure out how all those pieces fit together and which way works best. So
Yeah, I'll just, caution you on getting investors because you talked
please,
about, you had talked about earlier about how you want to do it your way. You have
Yeah,
your bullet points, you have your vision. Well, all of a sudden, as an investor gets, they get a board seat or they become an advisory board or they've given you a bunch of money. It's not just your vision anymore. And so
true.
finding the right partner along with the right money is very paramount in growing it. And
That's great advice, man. Thank you.
yeah, so you're you're starting back from scratch. I got to ask you, one of the things that I'm not involved in Texas Lone Star Property Management, and there's a reason why I'm not involved in it because I'm focused on VPM. But
Mhm.
the other reason is I don't know, Jay, mentally if I'd have been able to start over again. Like I really don't know if I could go from 1,000 single family properties in 3 markets down to 23.
Yeah.
So how do you handle that mindset? Like, I guess for you, it's yours. Like that's a big difference, 100%. Like, so tell me a little bit about that.
So I just recently left my last company about a month ago now. And when that happened, I had a gut check, right? What am I going to do? Do I go out and run someone else's business? Got a lot of job offers, which was fantastic. Had several interviews. Um, and, along with that came job offers. But is that truly where my passion was? Because when you run someone else's company, you're running their business, you're building their dream, you're building
Their net worth.
else's profit. I've been well compensated for doing that, but you know, ultimately, I'm in my 50s. You can tell no hair. I'm a second gen property manager, so
Actually, I feel like I'm looking in the mirror. Guy, glasses, bald hair, good looking.
yeah, yeah. Well, I got a little fuzz, not much. I hadn't shaved today. So, but my mom got me started in this business what, 22, 23 years ago now. I don't know if that necessarily makes me crazy or really dedicated, but one way or another, I wanted to build my dream, my vision, and provide that level of service that I knew I was capable of. And to be honest with you, I'm really looking forward to it because it makes it easier to train one way the first time rather than trying to retrain people that have done it for years. So I've had rookie property managers that have been easy to train and some just won't fall into line. And then I've had well seasoned property managers that could adjust and could make that transition, but some couldn't. So I think training them my way the first time is going to be a much easier.
Man, it's all unicorns and rainbows over there at Surge
It,
Property Management. So I'm gonna get down here. Like you were used to having a whole staff, right? You were the CEO of a big company, 30, 40 people working for you. You had all these connections already. You had maintenance. You have to build everything from, and now you get to leverage your relationships, and I get that. But what are some of the what are some of the things you're like, I can't believe I'm doing this? Like, what are some of the like you have to wear all the like most of the hats now, right? How many what's your staff look like today? Obviously, you're gonna grow into that, but give me a funny story, something like you did recently, like you're like, I've never done this before. I haven't done this in
all
years.
right. So, I told you I've done this for, 20 plus years now. And when I started in the beginning, it was, I was mowing yards and sweeping out dead bugs and, checking on vacancies and then moved up the showing and all that kind of stuff. I haven't shown a rental property in probably 10 to 12 years. So, I get a call on one of my units the other day and it's me right now. I'm gearing
You're a
up.
head cook and bottle
Have,
washer.
what's that?
You're the head cook and bottle
I
washer.
am. I am. I am. I'm the head honcho and the janitor at the same time. So, but yeah, I go to show, and I've always preached to managers. How long has it been since we've done occupied escorted showings? Right. We've all transitioned to
Self showing.
unescorted showings, and with those companies and that kind of stuff. And I'm getting that all set up, but I had a client call or prospective tenant resident call and said, "Hey, I want to see this house." I'm like, "Yeah, sure. I'll be happy to show it to you. It took me about half an hour to get there." Ultimately, we ended up scheduling an appointment for the following day. And I've always preached to my managers, okay, when you're going to go meet somebody, call them prior to and confirm the appointment. I did. And I get there and, they're not there. So I wait, I'm courteous, send them a message like, hey, are you coming? They're like, oh, yeah, we're running late. And I'm just sitting there thinking, I'm like, wow, no respect for someone's time. I'm sitting there ultimately waiting 30, 35 minutes for them to get there. And you go from being a little bit irritated and a little bit miffed to as soon as they show up, they're like, hey, how you doing? How great to meet you. Let's walk in, let's see this property. And you go into the sales pitch, right? Of showing them all around and all that kind of stuff. And then after it was all said and done, I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, man, that's been 15 years since I've shown a rental property to a prospective resident. So
God
I
bless
just
you,
had to sit
brother.
in the truck for a minute and kind of contemplate. I'm like, this is truly what I want to do, and I'm dedicated, so I'm doing
God bless you, brother. God
it.
bless you. I'm not saying it's beneath me, but I will not show a property ever again. I
Yeah.
just did not like it. I hated that part of the job. But if I was starting from scratch by myself, with no investment, no like I would have to do it. And so yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I do stuff at VPM that I'm like, oh man, like, I'm a CEO and I'm also the guy who cleans up after the sales guy. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
get that. So tell me, what are some of the other challenges you have of obviously wearing multiple hats? How about like growth? Like, with the 30 properties, property management now is more ruthless and it is more and more people getting into it. And
Mhm.
it's a very difficult, you can't get to page one. Like I think your company was on page one in Dallas, right? Dallas Property Management. Weren't you
Yeah.
guys like on page one of Google?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So what are some of the
High
growth challenges?
rankings,
How do you overcome
had a
those?
business development department, all of those kind of things. So when you shift and you're doing on your own, it's the scale, determining how you scale, and then also determining how you staff up for that scalability, right? Do you get the cart before the horse to make sure you've got the cart ready, or do you make sure you've got the horse and then get the cart for the horse to pull? So,
So
trying
which
to
way do you,
decide some of those
which
things.
side
And
do you fall on that?
so I am doing a lot of the things myself right now, but I'm quickly realizing that staffing is important. So, the follow-ups and those kind of things are currently in my wheelhouse that I'm doing, but I want to make sure that I've got the right person doing that. So
Hmm.
right now I'm interviewing potential candidates for that role. It's going to be a remote position, I'm sure. It's kind of where I'm leaning, and making sure that they have the ability to communicate with residents and everything else. But then it goes to the tech. A lot of the tech that we use does a lot of the things that you know the follow up,
For
the
years,
showing follow up, and
yeah,
uh,
for years, I was on the fence. I was on the side of the fence where I am going to hire for growth,
smart.
right? And it is until it doesn't become smart because you just hire for growth and you're always hiring for growth, and then the growth either doesn't come or you hire the wrong people, you don't get rid of them. Um, and so what we found was we had bloat, right? So we kept hiring for growth, and then we had bloat. With VPM, I'm actually very, very conscious of do I hire for growth? Um, and it's a fine line. And if you can afford it, you hire for growth, but you have to manage it, is what I found. And at Empire, we didn't manage it and it got away from us. And next thing you know, I'm like, why do I have an IT guy? We get 30 people working for us. Like, and what happened was our our payroll was like 56% of our expenses, which if you look at if you read any business book, it should be 30 to 34%,
Yeah.
even for service-based companies.
Mhm.
So now the way I look at it is, okay, let's hire the right person. Let's hire before we need them, but not like months before we need them, or not like, oh, we think we're gonna grow.
Yeah.
Right. So like I have to have like a forecast. So I just run the business. Look, business doesn't get easier, you get better. That's really what it comes down to. And I'm just
Yeah.
getting better. I'm just getting a little better at it. And I think you hit the nail on the head though. Training and having the right person in the right seat. If you have to have those job descriptions written out, very detailed, so that you know what they're supposed to do, so that they know what they're supposed to do. And then you have to have some training in place, and then you have to have your KPIs, which you've mentioned numerous times on there. So let me ask you this. Um, you're portfolio based. You're running your whole business by yourself.
Mhm.
What's the first position that you're looking at hiring? What is that position? I think you mentioned it, but I totally blanked out. So my
Yeah, so it's going to be office staff, accounting related, most likely, or have a piece of that accounting that tech, uh,
why
that the
not
tech
growth?
doesn't cover. So
Why
most
not why
likely
not a
a
BDM?
virtual, because I
Why
can
not-
handle the field work, if you will. I can go check vacant properties. I mean, 30 doors, right? That's
Yeah.
easy to do. Even
So let me
potential,
ask you this:
yeah.
are you like are you more sales focused? Like, is that why you're not hiring somebody to grow? Like, that's your job. That's a hat you want to continue wearing, and you're not a high detail person. You don't like the accounting piece.
So yeah, that's exactly it. I mean,
Got
to
it.
put it in a
Okay.
nutshell, yeah, I'm the big picture guy. I'm not the nuts and bolts.
Well,
So
heck,
to
I
make
mean,
sure I've got
you're
the nuts and bolts, I've got some support staff behind me now that has kind of helped with that. And then I have my software company that has developed developing our website. Hadn't launched our website just yet. It'll be up hopefully by the end of the month. So, those kind of pieces are important to make sure I've got in place, and then bringing the right people on the bus. The other key component to that is making sure, you mentioned that fine line, trying to make sure you've got the right people, but you also don't want to wait so long that you're desperately trying to hire somebody, because then
yeah. Now you're behind the
you,
eight
you
ball.
take your best candidate of what's available instead of really finding the best candidate overall.
Good point. Good point. Yeah, you speak visionary. Like when I'm talking to you, like I'm like, that's a visionary. He's talking about partnerships. He's talking about investors. He's talking about buying companies. When you talk to me, I talk about job descriptions and process flows, right?
Yeah.
So for me, when I started Empire, if I didn't have my business partner, Steve, I would have had to hire a BDM or a marketing person, right? So yeah. So, but instead we hired an accounting person. So that was our first hire too, by the way, an
Yeah.
accounting person.
Nice.
Yeah, because like I'm not a number. I'm like I'm detailed, but I'm not a super numbers guy.
Yeah.
And so I love what you said. You know what you're good at, then that's get the stuff that you're not good at, create a job description, and
Yeah.
find somebody who's going to be really good at it, who likes to
Find
do
the right people. You got to know your strengths, and
that.
that's one thing over the years that I've been able to clearly identify is my strengths are, talking to clients, talking to customers, talking to residents, solving problems, working big pictures, coming up with great ideas. How many times have we all gone to a broker owner conference and come back with just these incredible ideas? But I'm not the one to sit down at a desk and get into the minutia to necessarily figure out exactly how to make that work. So I
That's when you
need
bring
those
me in.
people to help me with the minutia.
Honestly, that's when you bring me in. That's the
There
stuff,
you go.
right? Yeah, I call it the at Empire. I call it the implementation specialist, and I
Mm,
wore that hat until that was the very last hat I took off when I became CEO.
I'm borrowing that, by the way.
Oh, you can use that. You can use that one. I'm sure there's better titles than that, but that's that and you know what I ended up using my sales manager. He became the guy. He actually had the ability, so I didn't have to hire somebody outside.
Yeah.
Just a matter of fact, I just interviewed Brian Jenkins, who created PM Builder implementers or PM implementers, and that
Mm,
they literally come in and they will implement stuff. Like they're not coaches, they're consultants, and they'll implement stuff for your business.
nice.
So pretty cool. So yeah, that's I
Yeah.
think that was a really cool spin. I'm finding it really interesting. More and more of us are selling, or more people that I know anyway in my circle is selling, guys like you and Brian. And I'm surprised like you didn't go into coaching like everybody else did. And
I probably could have, but I already have that opportunity to coach, but I'm coaching my clients. And over the years, I've done the seminar circuits. There's several podcasts that I've been on, regular guests. There is the coaching aspect of it, but I want to be able to do it and build business off of that. I don't necessarily just want to coach. I'm a deal hunter. I love the deal flow, and I love the opportunity to put deals together. So I love it when I can educate a client on the potential opportunity to buy, you know, a row of duplexes, or, you know, a small multifamily, or and do that value add, or, you know, figure out what the best use of their components that they have, whether
So
that
would it
be
be safe?
leverage or cash or credit or whatever it is. So if I can educate somebody to be able to pull all those components together, and maybe put, you know, a couple of different clients together for the right opportunities, but be able to coach them up and do that and put that deal together, that's the ideal, you know, scenario for me.
So it would be safe to say that your target market would be an investor versus an accidental landlord.
Yes,
And
yes.
are you going to start an investment club in Dallas? I know there's a couple out there already, but you can start a
You
small
know, I'm
one.
members of so many here. I don't know if I'm necessarily going to start one of my own. I think if the education piece takes off, I do think that would be the logical next step. You know,
It's a great lead flow.
yeah, yeah.
It really
It's not a
is.
bad idea. I mean, you're giving me some nuggets here.
Well, man, I actually created the Empire Investment Club that we rolled it out. We started doing it. We were getting like 30 people to come to our like free seminar type stuff.
Hmm.
And I kind of modeled it after Lifestyles Unlimited, which is a big real estate and group here in Houston and
Yeah,
Dallas and Atlanta. And we were starting to get a little bit of traction, and then we sold. And so because like you, I love the art of the deal as far as buying an investment property. And people love buying investment properties. That's kind of like dating. What they hate
yeah,
doing is managing, which is like kind of like being married. They hate managing the property. So I always felt that they went hand in hand. And then you build the education piece to it. Then you have the real estate piece, you buy it, and then you manage it. And if you buy the property for them, you can offer them, free management for a year.
yeah.
What does it
That
matter?
is true.
So I always
It's
thought it was
like
a good idea.
the build to rent. One of the opportunities I'm looking at right now is, I've got some good friends that are in the construction business. They're home builders. So, and they want to, you know, grow bigger. And so just kind of, you know, chatting with them, you know, saying, hey, if you could build some rental properties, what does that look like, you know, for from a cost perspective? And then, you know, my brain just starts noodling on the fact that, hey, I've got tons of investors that want to buy brand new homes, but they don't want to go out to some of these communities where they're building, you know, these brand new properties and paying a premium. So if I could figure out how to get that down to a reasonable cost perspective, give the builder an opportunity to make some money, give the client an opportunity to buy a good deal, give me the opportunity to put the deal together and then lease out a brand new house to a new resident that's going to live there for a couple of years. You know, that sounds like a perfect scenario as
I think a
well.
quad win, not a triple
Yeah,
win, a quad win.
yeah.
So what is next? Like, so you have a long list of stuff that you're gonna build Surge. By the way, I love the logo. So
Thank you.
Surge Property Management. They don't have a website yet, but they have a logo, which is pretty awesome. So right, we're up against the clock here, but just tell me what's the next, what in the next 6 months, what's the focus?
So the focus is building up small amount of business and getting the right people on the bus in terms of the team. So I'm putting the team together right now, to make sure that I've got the components in place to be able to then go bigger and better, and putting together that education component. So the plan on our website will be that it'll have education component, you know, probably do, you know, a weekly video, something along those lines with some nuggets. And then, you know, I kind of like your idea. I don't know, we might throw in a meeting, you know, a meetup, for investors that want to learn and see where that goes. But
I love
in
it.
terms of Surge, I'm not going gangbusters to be the biggest. I just want to be the best, provide the best customer service, and provide good education to my clients and my residents as well. I plan to send out a resident newsletter as well as an owner newsletter. So I want to put all those pieces in place. So as we do grow, it's going to be more of an organic growth unless we buy a company to bring in, but the plan is to be more of an organic growth and kind of build from there. But I'll already have those pieces in place so that we can grow and not feel the pinch, I hope.
I have no doubt that you'll get there and you'll hit your vision. And then what's going to happen is the visionary in you is going to be like, well, that's fun. 300, we're rocking and rolling. It's perfect. We have the greatest customer service. What's next? We're going to go build this thing to 1,000. I just see it. I'm just saying, but we'll see what happens.
Well, I've done it twice now, so
And might as
we'll
well do it a
see.
third.
I
Third
mean,
time's a charm.
do you have to be the biggest to be the best though? Or do you have to you know,
You know,
being
it's funny. I'll say this before we hit commercial break, but
yep.
the main reason why my business partner Steve and I ended up selling the business is because the vision kind of changed. My
Mm,
vision was always let's get to 1,000 single family properties in Houston and be the best property management company. And I felt we were getting there. Steve, my business partner, he wanted to be basically like Mind. He wanted to be across the nation. We were in like, I think we were in Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston. He wanted to break into Austin. And I'm like, man, we're not even running a good shop in Houston and we're
yeah.
going to all these other markets. I'm with you. I feel that you can still run 12, 1,500 units and you can still be a badass PM firm. That's what I believe. You did say something that resonated with me. Like as you grow, it gets tougher to build to keep those relationships. It gets tougher for you as the business owner to keep them, but your team actually gets. I think it gets easier as you get bigger, and that's another story for another day, my friend.
Yeah, yeah, I agree that one of the biggest things for my team is going to be making sure that the managers are on some sort of a rev share, so they benefit in the company being the best. Uh, so yeah, that's
That's
going to be a
brilliant.
key component.
I love that. That right there, that little nugget. If you're listening to this, like that got snuck in there. If you are starting a business or you're struggling with your business, like having a rev share program, building it the right way, will basically stabilize your business and help you grow the business. So
Yep.
that alone was worth the listen. All right, Jay, we're gonna take a quick commercial break, and then we're gonna come back for the lightning round.
Okay,
Ask you a
sounds good.
series of questions, just fire off some answers. All right,
Okay.
everybody, we'll be right back after this. All right, welcome back, everybody. Jay Hartley, you are on the hot seat in the lightning round. Are you ready?
Yay.
All right. What PM software do you use?
So rent buying.
Rentvine.
Yep.
What organizational structure right now? You're a single person, so I'm gonna say portfolio based.
Yes, portfolio.
Um, do you use virtual assistants?
Yes.
Do you have BDMs?
No.
What is
Oh,
one
if you
piece?
count me, yes.
Yeah. Well, yeah. No, we don't count you on this question. What is one piece of advice you'd give someone just starting out in the PM business?
Focus on customer service and listening to your clients. The other big takeaway that I've always had is don't accept the wrong clients. You know in your gut when you're talking to them if they're going to be the right client or not, and decline the business if they're not the right fit.
Wise words. Does pineapple belong on pizza?
No.
Your go-to fast food restaurant when if you don't eat it very often, but when you do, what's the craving here? What's the fast food joint?
Chick-fil-A is my go-to.
That's a good one. All right. What was your first job?
I was the cleanup boy at a donut shop.
That had to be fun.
Yeah, no.
What is your ideal vacation?
On the beach with my wife, sipping pina coladas.
Love it. What is something most people don't know about you?
Well, if they watch the video, they'll realize I'm a Lego collector. So most people don't realize that I'm a huge Lego fanatic and collect Lego.
What is one book you've currently reading or one that you've read that has impacted your business or life?
So I love reading. The one thing is probably one of my most recent eye openers for me. But then there's also the little purple book with Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad, that got me started in investing. But that was years ago.
And the other one is Gary Keller, right? The one thing.
Yep, Gary Keller, the one thing.
That book is really good,
Yeah.
especially for you visionaries. It's good. Um, what is what is one challenge you're currently facing in your business?
The cart before the horse or the horse before the cart. So I'm navigating that right now, bringing on the right people or searching for the right people to bring on so that I can grow.
What do you prefer, dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Dogs. If somebody has heard this podcast and maybe they're in Dallas and they have a PM firm that they're looking to maybe sell, or they just want to pick your brain or they want to partner with you, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Cell phone's going to be the best. You want me to give it out on there?
That's your call, brother. I ain't answering that cell phone.
Yeah. If anybody's listening to this and they want to give me a call, my cell phone number is 817-308-1309. Just respect the hours is all I ask.
And what about an email? Is there an email for you?
So the letter J, Hartley, Hartley, at surge, SURGE dash PM.com.
Awesome. And if you're listening to this and you are not a NARPM member, why not? Join up now. Go to NARPM, NARPM.org, or give them a call at 800-782-3452. And if you want to be cool like Jay and have virtual assistants, go to vpmsolutions.com. It's free for you to use. It's free to create a job. It's free to find somebody. You hire them. They're direct hire. You pay them through our platform. The VA pays us. We have free training. I think we just put Rentvine training on there, and we just put Property Mill training on the platform. And they can take a course, they can take a test, they get certified, and they become VPM certified in Rentvine or Property Mill or one of the other certifications that we have. Jay,
Can I
thanks for
talk to
being
that
here.
real quick, Pete? Do you mind?
I will as soon as we end this deal, Jay. I'll tell you all about it.
Well, no. I've got to plug two things. One is NARPM has been influential in my professional career. So anybody that's not a NARPM member, you have got to look into that and join. So you've got to do that. And then virtual assistance is absolutely the best way to go. So just a couple of little plugs there. If you want to learn more about either of those, happy to talk to them. But NARPM's been influential, and remote team members or VAs are going to be the lifesaver of many businesses.
Changes your business. Both of them change your business. NARPM changes your business, and VAs change your business in completely
Exactly.
different ways. Jay, thank you so much for being here, buddy.
Hey, I loved it. Thank you.
See you.